And so my main thing for us tonight is to think about something that is totally and completely, in my view, associated to the idea of homecoming, even though it seems completely off and disconnected. But I think it's right there, which is the notion that comes from post-colonial studies and post-colonial theology. That is the notion of displacement. What is displacement? What does it mean to be displaced?
I think that many of us live in this liminal place that you talked about. You're never, from living overseas so long,
right.
you know, you come back here and you're no longer a North American.
Right.
So that you kind of get used to that. But our reality is so different from people who are really displaced. We were displaced by choice, by invitation. It was a completely different thing. So that when you have to leave and you come here and are treated with such indignity, there's great hurt there. And I don't think, and probably very few of us in this room have ever experienced that. We've had been insulted and things, but we are people of privilege, have been. And so that I think you have to be in a place where people aren't like that to really understand what that is. Unless we really know those refugees. And you can't imagine.
So, displacement is a category that might be a little strange for us, but it's real life for so many people.
Another was you can stay in a particular place and be displaced. And so that's certainly the case for Palestinian Arabs, whether Roman Catholic, as in my wife's case, or Muslim, or Orthodox. But those Palestinians who stayed at home in the land ended up being displaced by language and another people's experience. So they stayed in their home and it no longer was home. They were displaced by staying where they were. And I have been in many homes, and the one home that I was really grieving leaving was our first home, our first house. And I sat grieving the living room. I just loved that living room. And then now in our third house, that living room is still with us. Same carpet, same colors, same furniture. And I am so glad because I feel that that's part of my home. But relationships are too.
You should travel. There are people that are stuck in where they are. And there are no ways they can move. Move where? How? With what sources? The impossibility of movement for hundreds of thousands of people. And when you think about immigrants, one thing that the people don't think here is that most of the immigrants, when they come, they sell everything. So they have no place to go back. So
the word homecoming made us think of high school, and if there was ever a place you felt displaced, that was
high school, right on.
And we certainly, a lot of our discussions centered on what makes us feel at home. And someone used the quote that home is where, when you have to go there, they have to take you in.
Yes.
We enjoyed that. But we also spent some time thinking about the ways in which we feel displaced. Perhaps it can be because of lifestyle, of being gay, or of having to start a new job that is so unfamiliar, of not knowing who your family and your background is, so that we do have strong experiences of feeling displaced even in this country where we think we should feel at home. And we also talked about traveling and the fact that it gave us a different perspective on what it feels like to be out of your element and looking at things differently and learning things about yourself in the process of traveling.
Yes. Thank you. Very, very good. Thank you. James?
What a critical factor fear is.
Yes.
Both in going out, but also as we try to receive and be hospitable. In North America, we're afraid to be hospitable. We were talking about our empty houses, but the cultural understanding that you don't open your door and invite immigrant families in, it's too dangerous. You don't know who they are, and how difficult a struggle it is to have all these homes with these extra bedrooms and all this privilege and all this wealth, and to have the door shut so firmly against the outsider.
What you're saying, yes, is so important. And just look at what you're saying in terms of our churches. So many buildings in this country that during the winter stay closed while people are just like on the streets. They don't have a place to stay. But there's one difference between just traveling abroad, because then your home is still there, right? And when you become an immigrant, there's something else that happens to you. There's something, and this is what we can also talk about. What is it that happens to you when you become an immigrant? Language, you lose the language. And know what happens? Immigrants become toddlers immediately. From 9 hours from São Paulo to here, you go from being 25, 30 to be 8 months in 9 hours. Because you get here and what happens to you? Yeah, yes. Oh, this is your language. So your world shrinks enormously.
So the church for me is home. That's the one place that's consistent while everything else changes. The city, the environment, the country, whatever.
The church was this womb, was this nest, was this solace that we can go back to. But if the church is the one who is pushing us aside, then it hurts. So
it's like God is pushing you aside.
Yes, yes. So in what ways can we create a sense of home? When you talk about home security, the first thing that comes to my mind is the military things that we are gaining to bring security. I think we as church we have a different talk. Security at home means something else. It means eating together. It means making sure that you have a place to sleep the same way that I do.